Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video we've got a full look into the skill sets of two new bosses from the Grim Forest, Frigius the Trovemaster, and a familiar boss if you've played probably any RPG game in the past, the Mimic. Ooh, lovely. So we're going to be diving into both of these today. And Plarium has actually confirmed that there are 7 new bosses coming in the Grim Forest, so even after we've looked at these 2 entirely new bosses, there's still 5 more to come, which is just bonkers. It's crazy. So first up, let's take a look here at Frigius the Trovemaster. Greedy and elusive like all loot thieves, he excels at utilizing evade and slipping away from danger. And when he isn't dodging your blows, he shields himself behind a powerful new protection buff, gold-plated. Be cautious when unleashing all your might into his gold-plated armor. Breaking it injures not only Phrygius, but your team as well. Ooh, so let's look at the big version of his skills. Let's zoom it in here. Let's move over. I'll just stick me in the bottom right corner. That will do. Let's go through it backwards. I think actually, funny enough, makes more sense because it's often the order you encounter the actual boss fight. So flameproof. Damage from HP burn debuffs cannot exceed 1% of his max HP. Okay. Not exactly flame proof, more like a somewhat flame resistant. I would also assume, by the way, that, and it does annoy me a little bit, I will tell you right now, that I'm pretty sure that poisons are going to do less damage, but it just, to me, is a bit weird. They also, you can see here, Almighty Strength passive, damage from skill scaled off enemy max HP cannot exceed 5% max HP. They've clarified that. They've clarified the HP burn. They haven't clarified poison, but I'm pretty sure he does take reduced damage from poison. It's a problem with like every boss in the game. Most of them have special poison values and it doesn't tell you. And it's quite annoying, especially when you've got someone like Xenomorph as the free login champion who's all about poison. But hey, it is what it is. Unfaltering speed, immune to decreased speed debuffs and turn meter reduction. Oh, a couple of things to say. The HP burns capped to 1%. It's sort of in line with the recent event dungeons. It's certainly weaker than other bosses, or it's a more punishing reduction than other bosses. Also, 5% max HP. Even hard mode dungeons are like 10%. So this definitely makes it a good bit harder for sure. Enemy max HP not going to be hitting anywhere near as hard as you might expect. Unfortunately, awakened weakness returns, so you take less damage from the boss, up to 25 reduced damage from the boss, and you deal more damage to the boss, up to 50% more damage based off of your awakening levels, how many red stars you have for your champion. I hate this. I hate it so much. I hated it since the first time they put it in. I think Amius or Hard Mode Dungeons, whichever came first, was the first time we've seen it. I hated it then. I hate it now. This doesn't need to exist. Almighty Immunity, immune to pretty much everything that you would expect really bosses to be immune to, including all these new debuffs that you don't see very often: Nullify, Ensnare, Fatigue, and Hunter's Gaze. 20. Okay, let's look at the actual bosses stuff. So kind of fairly expected passives. 24 Carrot Thief has a 10% chance of evading an enemy skill and all its accompanying effects. Increases Phrygius' speed by 5 and chance to evade by 2%. Each turn he's under at least one gold-plated layer, stacks up to plus 200 speed and 50% evade. That is absolutely bonkers. So, yes, by default, he's got a 10% chance to evade. He can just dodge everything. That is going to make him very difficult to consistently farm. You know, like, let's say I go in with my Lydia, and I try to decrease defense and weaken. If he just dodges it 10% of the time, that totally changes how each run is going to go. So that's a good chunk of randomness, but then you also really want to minimize the time he's spending while he's gold-plated, because the more turns he takes, he's going to ramp up like crazy. I'm guessing it's 50% bonus evade on top of the 10%, so he'd have a 60% chance to dodge everything you're doing. And plus 200 speed is just crazy, especially seeing as he's immune to decreased speed as well. So yeah, we want to, it sounds like this boss, kill him quickly before this starts ramping up. Hardened Avarice places 5 layers of gold plated on Frigius the Trovemaster. Each layer is equal to 10% of his max HP. Whenever a layer is destroyed, deals damage to Phrygius equal to the value of the gold-plated layer, also deals damage to Phrygius's enemies equal to 5% of the gold-plated layer. Fills his turn meter by 10% each time a gold-plated layer is destroyed, while under gold-plated layers he cannot evade. Okay, well, I'm not sure if he starts the fight with this or not. But okay, so you don't have to deal with the evasion while he's gold-plated. That's not too bad. Okay, cool. Yeah, interesting. So maybe it doesn't matter too much. Every 5 turns, he's going to be putting on gold-plated again, which is basically a 50% shield in 5 chunks. And whenever you destroy one, it's going to do damage to his actual health, and it's going to also do a big chunk of damage to you. I mean, if 5% of a boss's hit points to you sounds small, but that could actually hit your team extremely hard. He's also going to gain turn meter whenever it's destroyed. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, his speed is always going to stack, right? He's going to keep stacking that speed. But if you're just smashing gold plates and killing him with gold plate explosions, then you don't have to deal with the evasion, at least. I'm intrigued exactly how that's going to work. Okay. Can't catch me. This is a 2 then. It's a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies, puts decreased speed and decreased attack on all enemies for 2 turns. Steals 30% of each target's turn meter. This effect cannot be resisted by targets under any buffs. Whoa! Damage inflicted by the skill increases by 10% for each gold-plated layer. Yeah, okay. Gold-plated buff grants Frigius additional layers of HP beyond max HP. Yeah, as expected. They can't be removed, stolen, have their duration increased or decreased. No, so it's just a big shield you gotta smash through. When he receives damage while under gold-plated, it first goes to the gold-plated layer. Yep, they block a certain amount of damage, are destroyed after receiving that damage. When it's destroyed, it does damage to him and damage to you as well. Yeah, cool. Nice that surplus damage does go directly to his HP as well. So you can, yeah, if you smash a gold plate layer, it has like 1 hit point left. You hit it really hard. A big chunk of damage will go through to his health. Right, then his A1, mine, attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of stealing a random buff from each enemy. Whew, okay. We put this together. What do we think? So this looks like a boss that you probably want to kill relatively quickly. If you leave the fight go on too long, he's going to be taking more and more turns. You're going to definitely need some source of self-healing. I wonder how Leech will interact with this. Like if I'm damaging a gold plate, can I heal off of Leech? Because you're going to need quite a bit of healing, I would think. Every time you smash these gold-plated layers, it's damaging your team. So you can't go in with no healing. You're definitely going to want a good bit of healing to keep yourself topped up through all of that. Decrease speed, decrease attack. Pretty darn punishing, especially decrease speed. If you're running an attack-based damage dealer, that's very punishing as well. You could always run damage dealers who are not based on attack. That would be pretty strong. I think this part is rough, though. Stealing 30% turn meter, and it can't be resisted if you have any buff. It's so hard to have no buffs, genuinely. Like, I mean, with things like Lightning Cage and stuff these days, especially, like, you're gonna have some buffs, so he is gonna steal your turn meter. You probably just gonna have to, I don't know, are you gonna have to build a careful team to not have any buffs to avoid that steal? Even so, you still have to resist it, so you need to have really high resistance. I don't know. To me, this is initial thoughts. This actually seems kind of impossible. He's just stealing 30% of all your turn meter every 3 turns, which means he's just going to cycle through turns really quickly. Yeah, he's just going to cycle through them really fast, which means he is going to stack up pretty quickly. This seems very difficult. How do you have really high resistance on targets without any buffs on them at all? Rough. Really rough. Though it would be strong. You'd be able to resist all of his stuff. That could be strong, but not easy to do. Yeah, then he's stealing your buffs as well. Decrease accuracy seems very powerful against this boss. Increase resistance would protect you from the buff steal, but obviously you can't resist the turn meter steal. Protected buffs are brilliant. He can't steal them. That's really nice. He'd still steal your turn meter, but nothing you can do about it. Yeah, let me know what you think of Phrygius. He seems relatively simple, all things considered, right? You know, he's buffing up his gold plates. You got the whole gold plate thing, and he's ramping up. Other than that, he's got his AoE with a couple of debuffs and stealing turn meter. And then he hits harder the more gold plates are there. And then he's got his AoE where he steals a buff. It's actually, I'd say, a relatively simple bot. I think this is good. I'm actually pretty positive about this. I think that with Raid, sometimes they go too far in making these super complicated bosses that have so many things going on, and it's just an absolute thesis to understand. Taking a look at this guy, he's got a couple of very clear. It's like, okay, he's spamming these AoE attacks that are really good against me. If I have buffs, how do I deal with it? And then it's his other thing is he's got these gold plates. How do I deal with these gold plates? Do I smash them quickly, smash them slow, whatever? So yeah, that's kind of awesome, actually. I'm on board. I think he's got tons of potential. I'm excited. Okay, there we go. So that was him. Next up, we've got the Mimic, a surprise boss that roams the Grim Forest. It reveals itself only when you draw near. You can never be certain whether the treasure before you is a true reward chest or a mimic lurking behind its likeness. This creature delights in preying upon your strongest damage dealers, feasting on their power and healing itself with every bite. And again, we've got some new stuff happening with this boss as well. So here it is, the Mimic. Again, visually it looks insane. So does Phrygius, I should say, as well. Looks super cool. Zoom in, let's see what's going on. The same passive. Well, actually, no, slightly different passives. Pretty similar stuff. So again, burns can only do 1%, boss max HP. Enemy max HP is capped at 5%. Unfortunately, Awaken Weakness returns. Now here, though, turn meter reduction will work, but it's half as effective against the boss. But it is somewhat useful, so that's cool. Immune to a bunch of stuff. I'll be honest. We're getting so many skills and debuffs in the game. I'm like, is there something there that it's not immune to? It's just such a big list. I just see that and I just glaze over. I'm completely honest with you. Let me know, is there some important debuff that the boss isn't immune to? And the thing is, like, if they leave it out, you have to just assume that it's a mistake. Yeah, once again, I'm guessing, by the way, for you Xenomorph users, probably the boss takes massively reduced damage from poison. We've got a wall of text explaining absolutely tons of information. We're just not going to explain that bit, though. I don't know. You just have to know, really? You noob? What, you think we're going to explain how the boss works? Get out of here. You Xenomorph fools. Right, here we are. Fortune's Feast, the passive. For every 3 buffs the enemy team receives, decreases the cooldown of the feeding time skill by 1 turn. At the start of the Mimic's turn, if there's a mini Mimic present in the battle, heals the Mimic by 25% max HP. Okay, so we want to kill mini Mimics real fast. Also, this boss is punishing buffs very hard. Every 3 buffs your entire team receives. I mean, I'm guessing it's a 4 or probably a 5-person team. If I put 1 buff on each character, that's 5 buffs. So if I put 2 buffs in each character, that's 10. He's going to get 3 turn cooldown off of feeding time. I think I'm understanding that correctly. That seems kind of insane. Okay, here we are. Feeding time. It's a 5 turn cooldown. Summons a mini Mimic to the battle who ingests the enemy with the highest crit damage for 4 turns. The mini Mimic's HP is equal to 20% of the Mimic's HP. Its defense is 70% and it has the same resistance. At the start of the Mimic's turn, the mini Mimic deals damage equal to 25% of the target champion's current HP. After 4 turns, or when the mini Mimic is defeated, the target champions return to the battle and the mini Mimic leaves. Well, presumably they would be dead. After 4 turns, if he's eating a quarter of your HP every turn, you'll come back, but you'll be dead. Or if you kill him early, you get your champion back straight away. Only 1 champion can be transferred into the mini Mimic at a time, puts decreased speed on all other enemies for 2 turns. Ooh, okay. Okay, I think there's actually some extra info here on the ingest debuff, or yeah, I get debuff, green debuff. When summoned to battle, he ingests the enemy with the highest crit damage. When he takes a turn, he does damage to them equal to 25% of their current hit points. Actually, I suppose if it's the current hit, so let's say he consumes me, I'm at 100% HP. He'll do 25% of my current HP, which is 25%. I'm down to 75. When I'm at 75%, what's a quarter of 75? I don't know, like 19% or something? I don't know. Something like that? Is he going to do that much? So maybe he can never kill me. He's just going to like chunk down my HP, but the longer I'm ingested, it's not so bad. Or is it based off the current HP when he devours you? Or ingests you, I should say. Not sure. Yeah, I'm actually not sure about that. That could be kind of interesting. So Yeah, all right. You'll be freed when he's defeated or after 4 turns have passed. While ingested, a champion is considered removed from the battle. It's very much like the Hydra Devour thing, right? They can't receive buffs, debuffs, instant effects. They cannot be selected as a target for a skill. Ingested state cannot be removed except by defeating the mini mimic or waiting for 4 turns. When ingesting a champion, mini mimic ignores block debuffs, veil, perfect veil, and resistance. A champion can still be ingested even if they already have 10 debuffs on them. No more than so yeah, I'm reading it. It's very much like the Chimera thing, right? Mini Mimic comes in, he's eating your highest crit damage person. You can't stop it. They're basically gone from the fight. You kill the Mini Mimic, they come back, or after 4 turns, they come back. So it's very much like the Hydra thing. Very much like that. No more than one Mini Mimic can be present in a battle at any time. No more than one champion can be ingested at a time. The Mimic cannot use the feeding time skill to summon more than one Mini Mimic to battle. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. So potentially you could just buff like crazy. Just go absolutely nuts with buffs. And yeah, he'll get this skill down off cooldown. But he can't summon more than one. So he wouldn't be able to use this skill. That's potentially not so bad then. So he'd just be like, okay, we buff like crazy. He can always summon in a mini mimic, but we just like focus the boss down. Now the danger is every time the boss is taking a turn, he's healing 25% max HP. And if you're missing your highest crit damage person, maybe you won't be able to actually deal with that. So that's something we got to test and find out. Potentially, alternatively, you might want to avoid buffs like crazy. So kill the mini mimic as soon as it comes in, and then you'll have a few turns with no mini mimic to try focus the boss down. That might work as well. Got 2 other skills then at A2, Lashing Spiral, 3-turn cooldown. Attacks one enemy, puts a stun debuff for 1 turn. Attacks all remaining enemies if the stun debuff was not placed. Okay. Decrease the turn meters of all enemies without a stun debuff by 30%. Ooh. Okay, and then his A1, attacks all enemies, does additional pure damage equal to 5% of each target's max HP. Ooh, for each buff on them. And 50% chance of placing decreased attack. Yikes. Okay, so actually, maybe we really do want to avoid buffs. I mean, it definitely seems to be the intended way, right? To fight this mimic, don't bring any buffs. No buffs. Okay, come in. Don't bring any buffs or bring as few as possible. But debuff removal is very strong. So you're going to get decreased speed on everybody whenever he does his feeding time. So debuff removal to remove that decreased speed, very impactful. Something like a Doom Priest could be really strong here, just passively removing a debuff every turn. This A2, you definitely, you probably don't want to stop the stun. You want somebody to get stunned. Probably. Because if you stop the stun with block debuffs or intercept or something, he's going to AoE your whole team, which you're probably going to hit really hard. He's going to push all your turn meter back. Probably nothing you can really do about that. But again, like a Doom Priest passive to remove that stun would be really strong. Having loads of buffs, you're going to take pure damage. That could add up very quickly to a lot of damage. Potentially you could live through it, but it could be pretty rough pretty quick. Like if I've got 5 buffs on my team, we're taking 25% max HP as pure damage every A1. Kind of nasty. And yeah, he can also be putting out decreased attack, 50-50, so it's not as bad, but once again, someone like Doom Priest who can remove some debuffs could be pretty clutch. So yeah, there you go, the Mimic. Pretty interesting, and you could fight this guy. It sounds like this guy could really show up almost anywhere within the Cursed City. Any treasure chest, it's like, surprise, it's actually a Mimic. So you're probably going to fight this boss quite a lot. He seems pretty interesting. So definitely a bit of a... I think both of these bosses, putting it together, man, like both of these bosses do seem to be a little bit of a damage race, right? Kill the mini mimic quickly to get your big damage dealer back, and then try to focus the mimic down. And don't bring too many buffs. That's sort of how the mimic looks to work. Bring debuff removal, bring some healing, don't bring many buffs, and bring lots of damage to focus mini mimic down, and then the mimic himself before he summons in the mini mimic and starts healing. For Phrygius, again, focus him down, kill him quickly, bring healing, but don't bring too many buffs, especially not protected buffs, because he's going to steal them. So again, watch out for buffs. This guy's going to steal your buffs. Lots of damage, race him down, blow up the gold plates, bring lots of healing to survive the gold plate explosions. Yeah, cool. Like I said, I think that both of these bosses are actually going to be they're interesting. I think they've got a clear theme. They're not too complicated. I'm genuinely feeling very positive about this design direction for bosses here in the Cursed City. Let me know, what do you think of them though? Are you a fan of the Mimic? Are you a fan of Phrygius? Which one looks the most fun? Which one are you most intrigued by? The thing that's leaving me feeling pretty positive overall is that they've got a very, very impactful mechanics, but they're not loaded up with like 50 different things that they can do and 50 crazy passives with stuff going on. And you're like, oh my God, like what's happening now? Which passive is this for which form, for which thing? Oh, they're pretty simple, but their effects, excuse me, are very, very impactful. So yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on that. Let me know what you think. I think that's everything that we've got here in this video. Yeah, I think that's it for this video. Oh, hang on. We got some turnaround video. Oh, hang on. Yo, let's check this out. We've got a little video of the Mimic. Yeah, I mean, he looks so cool. They've nailed it. The video is not the best quality here. It's compressed for Google Drive or whatever, but I think you get the gist. I mean, he looks really cool. Sick animations. He's got teeth on his tongue. Of course he does. Looks great. Reminds me of Dark Souls. What can I say? Oh, there's the mini Mimic. There's the mini one. Oh, he's quite cute. You kill him, your champion comes free. Cool. Okay, yeah, I think he looks great. Let's bring up the other one. All right, here's Phrygius. Let's see what he's going to do. You going to change color when he's gold-plated or anything? No, he's just doing lots of AoE attacks. I can make that bar. Oh, he drops a treasure chest on you? That's pretty cool. Oh, look, there's the gold plated. That's cool. That's a cool animation where his skin covers in gold. I could see gold plated being a thing as well, right? With it again, they've teased us with the new faction. The new faction is like Atlantis, basically. Is my understanding of it. I could see like some sort of Atlantean themed character gold plating themselves and it being a buff for champions as well. That could be kind of cool. I think the Mimic stuff is not going to be. I don't think Ingest would carry over to champions. That's like same as the Hydra stuff. It's sort of unique there. I could see gold plated potentially, or something like it maybe being a thing that could be on like a gear set or a champion in the future or a relic or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, look, loads of info, absolutely tons. Give me your thoughts. Which boss looks coolest? Thank you for watching. Yeah, okay, as I said near the start, we still have 5 more bosses to go. This is only 2 of them. We still have 5 left. So we'll find out soon. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.